So if anyone that doesn't know you, Brett, although they should, because this is the third WrestleMania edition of our conversations, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background in the industry, who you are, what you do.
So I'm Brett. I live in Newcastle, just outside Newcastle in Washington, and I've been in the fitness industry for, I think it's coming up 8 years now. I originally did journalism. I did sports journalism at university. I enjoyed the Northeast so much that I decided to come up here and live, but that was only a few years later. So I originally started off in a couple of hotel gyms as a fitness instructor. Then I won High Achievers Award at one of the hotels there. I won Fitness Instructor of the Year in 2014, I think it was. So that involved like all these different tests and program writing, things like that. So that was pretty cool. And then moved over to Egypt very briefly and worked. Did you know this?
No, I didn't. Why Egypt?
So because I won this award, I was sort of, it's so cringy, right? But I was essentially headhunted by TUI. I think I can say names. Yeah, it's not bad. I was headhunted by TUI to go work in a Sensatori resort, which is like a 5-star chain, and that was in Sharm el Sheikh. So I'd been promoted as a manager at my job, and they're like, "We're only going to promote you if you're going to be here long term." And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And then like a month down the line, like TUI got in touch, and I was like, "Oh, I need to leave." So yeah, I gave like 2 weeks notice. It wasn't a lot because they wanted me over ASAP, and went to work out in Sharm el Sheikh, which was pretty cool. I was there for about 3-ish months, and then they actually had to cancel all the English people or like anyone who was working there, apart from the natives. They had to cancel all their visas and stuff because of all the stuff that was really going on in Egypt at the time.
Remember that? I remember that, all the stuff that was going on a few years ago in Egypt.
So it was actually like I got sent home in the September, and in the November, the Sharm airport, there was a plane that actually got bombed. Yeah, I think it was going from Sharm to Paris or something like that. So it was like only a couple of months before I left that happened. So I got home, and literally as soon as I got home, I was jobless. I was like, "Oh no, what am I going to do?" My mum was saying to me, she was like, "What are you going to do?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to go work in Holland and Barrett, like, and protein powders and stuff like that." So, fun enough, my old housemate from uni, he messaged me and he was like, "Yo, I'm working at a Pure Gym now in Newcastle. We're about to open a new one. Do you want to come up for an interview?" And I was like, "Hell yeah." So came up, I stayed on his floor for 2 to 3 months. And then the gym actually opened in Newcastle, and it was very quiet to begin with. You know, I think, and it's probably something that we'll go into a little bit more later on, but I remember when I was first starting, I felt so confident with my training, and I almost felt that, you know, I was just going to, it was going to be so easy training people, but fuck, like, when I can swear, right?
Yeah, swear away.
Oh, cool. Right. So I was like, fuck, like, you know, is this going to be good enough? I remember sitting in there in my first consultation, just like, yeah, is this price okay? Like, you know, is everything okay? Do you got any questions? And he was like, no. I was like, you sure? So yeah, I did that from 2015, left early 2017, went and traveled for a bit, Thailand, Cambodia, and Australia for a little bit. I was working and living in the Gold Coast on Surfers Paradise, which was beautiful. Then came back August, September 2017, worked at Pure Gym until last year, and now here I am online coaching, just living the dream in Washington.
I mean, like, so like obviously that's quite a roller coaster of a career. So I mean, like,
yeah,
I mean, that's mad, the time in Egypt, especially looking at the, you know, what happened a couple of months later on that plane. It's scary when things like that happen. I remember my first work experience placement where my July 7th bombings happened when I was there, and my uncle used to get that train to work every single day, and on that day he went in early for a meeting.
Fuck.
Yeah, like,
that's mad.
Proper scary. Like I remember like the story, like, do you know Seth MacFarlane, Family Guy?
Yeah. I think I've heard something about this, how he was meant to be on the flight for 9/11.
Yeah, and then he got drunk and missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's proper scary. How did you find, like, was it much of a culture shock working in Egypt?
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say yes and no, but yeah, it was. I remember being there, and a lot of the staff, even a lot of the staff there, a lot of the locals, they make such an effort to speak English, but us as English people, we expect everyone to speak our language all the time. But like, we're going over into their country, and like the food, it was a little bit different. Like, thankfully, I was working at, as I said, the Sensatori, so it was very much like buffet food, so you can go and pick your own. But the food abroad, a lot of time in these sort of almost like Middle Eastern countries, it just doesn't settle with your tummy that well. So I was on the toilet a lot. It just wasn't affecting me very well. The heat was insane. I remember when I got off the plane, I was like, holy shit. And the thing is, like, you're on your own. Essentially, like, when you're getting off that plane, you're on your own for a while, and you need to, like, then make your way to the hotel yourself. And that's when they start taking care of you. But before that, you're like, holy fuck. For someone who hadn't really traveled before, I was almost like a little bit like, what's going on? And the thing is, when they were there, like, I'm not saying anything bad about them, but they don't like you showing tattoos. Now I wasn't then as tattooed as I am now. Like, now I'm just a human coloring book. Whereas back then I only had, like, I think half a sleeve, but they were so against that. They hated it, and they wanted me to wear a long sleeve top. Whereas the other guys could wear, like, vests and stuff. I had to wear a long sleeve, like, heavy cotton top. And when I was there, like, I was teaching sports as well. So I was teaching a lot of sport. I was teaching football, tennis, volleyball, all this sort of thing. So when you're running around in football and the heat was actually reaching 50 degrees centigrade or Celsius, whatever it is, 50 degrees C, I don't know, in the long, heavy cotton or nylon, I don't know, top. God, man, I was feeling that. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah, like I remember that, like, sort of like moving here, like, here's not so bad, but I'd never been to Asia at all before getting off the flight, really, other than Turkey, which I don't think counts.
It was a little bit. Istanbul's half Asia.
Yeah. I was in the Asia side, but it's so Mediterranean. And so I over the last 2 years, like, I've not learned really much Cantonese, but I've learned how to communicate in grunts, which is the common language of taxi drivers. Like, can I go to Kennedy Town? Okay, cool. He understands what I mean. And I've gotten used to people taking money and throwing change back at me rather than giving it to me, like what people in Britain do. But, like, you're right, like, the humidity here is insane. And I remember, like, I still to this day, I've not acclimatized. I'll go out, I'll walk 10 yards, I'll find another shop with aircon, and I'm sort of back in, from there. Yeah. So you obviously, like, you went from there to the Pure Gym job, and, like, I can relate so much. I was at a Virgin Active, and it's a very, very similar thing, where I remember we had the desk where you do the initial PT session, like the free trial, which back in those days was like box jumps, burpees, anything with a Viper. So I need an exercise on a Bosu ball. It didn't matter if the goal of the client, but I had to have the Bosu ball exercise because they had all the kit. And I remember looking back and doing the sessions where my sessions were more about advertising to the people on the treadmills than they were about the client in front of me, which is mortifying. But you do the session, make the clothes, and you had to go down to reception to make the sale. And it was like a long spiral staircase down to the gym where I'm just sitting there going, they're going to change your mind. They're going to change your mind. They're going to change your mind. And sometimes they did. Normally the ones where I didn't show them the prices up front. But it's like, how did you find that? Like, how did you get over that initial transition of it being harder than you realized to being relatively busy?
So I think for me, a big thing that really helped was the way that I learned to deal with customers and learned to deal with people in one of the hotel jobs. So that was working for McDonald's hotels. It was only a small gym, but because I knew my programming already, even back then, it just helped. So almost like in a consultation sometimes, especially in a consultation when you first started, you had your list of questions and you'd go down. So I remember back when I was working in the hotels, I'd almost have my list of questions, go down, just get the information off them, and then try and tailor the service to them. And, even in the awkward moments where it was almost like quite silent, I could talk. Like you've probably noticed, third time on here, I'm quite a talker. So I could fill those silences so that the other person just felt a little bit more comfortable and more warming towards me. So that transitioned quite easy for me when I went onto the gym floor. And I sit down, get a person to feel comfortable with me, just because I've been there before and I've sat in their seat and I've just felt like really awkward as someone is almost like directing questions towards me rather than just trying to create this conversation. And that's massively what I would try and do. I'd just try and create this rapport from the beginning. And that helped for me. So when the gym first opened, there was about 7 PTs. There wasn't loads. Like there was other gyms that had like 15 and that, but this gym had just opened. And so I seen another guy who I was close with getting really busy straight away. And he'd come into the staff room sometimes. And I hadn't picked up a client at this point, and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm on like £1,000 a month now," but which for some people might not be a lot, but like when you've got 0 clients and 0 money coming in, £1,000 a lot of money for your wage. And he'd come in and be like, "Yeah, nice one, dickhead. Like, cheers. Like, I'm feeling shit enough as it is." And then as I started to build this rapport with people on the gym floor and they started to get to know me, they'd be like, "Oh, how much are you charging for a session or for an hour?" Which is a question I fucking hate anyway. But I hate now. And the more people became friendly with me, the more then they wanted to train with me a little bit more, the more they could see what I could do. And I had a lot of people come to me because they said, "I've seen people smiling with you on the gym floor and you training them. So I want that to be me as well." Like they always say to me, or they always said to me, I think I became more miserable as the years went on, but they always said initially, "You've always got a smile on your face." And that's something that I brought with me from the days back in the hotels and in Egypt as well, because you needed to be on your game. So if I could impress there, I can take it here with like the general population and apply it there too.
I think that's something like I always know that like I somehow used to get really good retention all the way through Virgin Active days into UP days, and I never everyone talked about retention strategies, and I never knew why it was. Like I was like, there's no logic. It's like I'm not the most organized guy in the world. I'm pretty certain I've got ADHD. Like I'm not the guy sitting there looking at packages and finding when they're renewal and planning goal setting meetings. And like the more automated all that admin stuff in my life can be, the better my life tends to be. But I seem to get better attention than people that were doing this, and I think it's exactly that. It's like building rapport with people. And I remember being on a similar thing, but we've both been on other sides, whether it's getting sold personal training or being sold. I'm sure like Adam Haley, by the way, is both of our business mentors. I'm sure he's not the first person you've had a call with to talk about business coaching. Mm-hmm. And I remember very vividly the people who, one of the things I liked about that, and the same thing I take to my consults, is like, Adam was very easy. If you don't want it, I'm in a good enough position. I'm confident in my product. Let's have a chat. Let's see what I can have. If you like it, great. If not, and one of the things I always, and it's sometimes hindered me in sales in the sense of I've maybe not been a good at objection handling, but I'd much rather be that than, "Oh, can I go away to think about it?" Well, if you don't come back in 37 hours, then the chance is gone and the prices will go up. We all know that's a load of shit.
Yeah.
And people can smell it from a mile away when people are just bullshitting them. So I think just like going in, maybe I'm wrong, but I've always gone in with just like try and be more personable and more human and build rapport, and the right people will gravitate towards you.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if it's almost like the matching of the energies, isn't it? Like whatever you can match their energy, or like you can try and create an energy for them to match. Because if you bring the energy up a little, I'm saying energy a lot, fuck. If you bring the energy up a little bit, like they're probably going to match it. But at the same time, like, you're not going to even try to change someone in a consult and stuff like that. You know, I've had people where I've been like proper cheerful and proper happy, and they've been like this, and I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe it might work better for another trainer because I'm like a little puppy, you know what I mean? And they're just like, I don't know, like how much do you really want to apply this? Do you really want me as a trainer? Because I'll probably get on your nerves in that first session, and then you're stuck with me.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that, and I think, and I bounce off those people that tend to give that same level of energy back, because I think it's like the way I've always looked at coaching, regardless whether it's gym floor, online, wherever, is like I want to make somebody renew and stay on as a client because they like me, they like the thinking being taken out of it, they want to learn more about their training and nutrition and the coaching process to develop as their priorities in life develop, as opposed to this feeling of, I don't know what I'll do if I stop coaching. I don't want people to need me. I think when you can make people learn to love training, learn to be inquisitive about the nutrition, learn to be able to be almost autonomous, with not to steal a word from Nathan Johnson, but with their nutrition, you tend to, like, if they do renew, you end up with better clients because you're working as a team rather than someone that's like just telling what to do for years and years and years on end.
Yeah, absolutely. And like with my clients, I ask for minimum 3-4 months. I think it used to be 3 months, 4 months now, sign off. But if you don't want to be there, then don't be there. Like, if you're not enjoying it, I'm probably not going to enjoy coaching you either. And that's the reality. A lot of people say it's our job or a personal trainer's job to make sure of things, but sometimes you're just not that right fit, and sometimes it might be better if you go to someone else. Like, I know what I'm doing gets results. But if you're just hating this process to the point you're not checking in, you're not getting your workouts done, then cool. Maybe it's best you start again with someone else. I'm almost like cutthroat now. Do you know what I mean? I'm so nice. I promise you, I'm dead nice. You know I'm nice, but like I'm so cutthroat now that if you even seem, I've spoke about the energy before, but if I'm bringing the energy up and there's nothing there, like, and you seem that you're not that interested, then maybe this ain't for you.
I'm exactly the same in that, and I think in a way it's more cutthroat, but I the way I look at it is, now I know I can help people. I'm now more confident in my craft. The more energy I can bring, and I know what that can do to the right person. It's not me being mean to this person that's not giving it. It's like, this can be filled with someone that really appreciates this spot, and that person now is missing out because of somebody, and you're not enjoying it in the same way. And I'm all for jumping on a call with people, trying to sort through issues, and sometimes talking them off the ledge, and sometimes they become your best clients ever. But I think I completely agree with you in that sense of you need to be able to give your energy to all of your clients, and in turn, and I suppose this is something with online coaching that is even more important, because you don't see them that face to face, and they need to be more self-sufficient in their own training. If someone's wanting a babysitter, they're not probably cut out for online coaching, because it's never going to work, because you have so many clients, you have a life, you have other things. You can't do that when you're maybe in a different country.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right with the whole babysitter aspect. See, a lot of people say to like check up on your clients every day, but why are you checking up on your clients every day? Like, maybe a couple of times a week, absolutely, and then they got the check-in, but every day, like, and I'm not going to be made to feel guilty from a fucking business guru who is telling me why aren't you checking up on your clients every day? Because they're fucking grown adults, pal. That's why. Like, they know what they need to do. They're probably going to crack on with it. If I'm catching up with them on a Wednesday or Thursday being like, how's your week gone? Cool. At the same time, some of them and I'll try and stop this, but some of them might run away from me rather than run to me. And that's something I talk about in the calls with them, like running to me, not from me. Yeah? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. they might come to check in and they've been like, oh, I just didn't want to tell you. And it's like, well, you can tell me. We're going to have these conversations. I'm not going to tell you off, but I'm also not going to be texting you every day, because that can be over. That would piss me off, mate. If I was getting a text from a coach every day, I'd be like, I've got a life, mate.
Yeah.
I've got other stuff to do. Yeah, I'm cracking on with it. Just leave me for a few days. If you want to catch up with me on Wednesday or Thursday, sound. But
yeah, I think that's a big thing in the industry. Not to end up ranting on personal trainers. I think there's some great personal trainers who do check in on people every day. That shows a level of commitment and organisation and drive to show that they want it more than their clients. There's some good things behind the personal trainer that wants to message their clients every day, and especially early on in your career, maybe that's something that is admirable. But there's this thing I think is quite problematic in our industry, probably because it's a lot of people 20 to 35 is the bulk of this industry, is that we almost don't treat our clients like adults. We disrespect them for not knowing what we know about macros and talk to them in, I want you to have this many grams of protein, this many grams of fat, talking food, understand that, telling them off for going and having a Snickers bar. I was like, rather than saying, this is what you need to do to achieve the goal. Here are the pros and cons of the Snickers bar. Pro, tastes fucking good. Con, you might be a little bit hungrier for having the Snickers bar because it's this many calories. You're an adult, make a decision. I don't want to patronize any of my clients. And I think there's a time and a place for maybe being more on top of messaging people every day. Last 3-4 weeks before a photo shoot, they might need a bit more time and attention. We all know how much of a head fuck that is. Maybe in the first couple of weeks, making sure they're not making any mistakes and making sure they're all right. But the rest of the time, the majority of clients would probably benefit from being treated like adults. People that earn, in most cases, earn more than us, are smarter than us. And I wouldn't know how to do accountancy or law or finance. And I'm like, but people are so condescending because they don't know what a macro split is.
Yeah. And obviously I did say as well, I'm not backtracking here, but obviously I said, we don't want to be texting, messaging all the time and stuff. But on the other end of things, you don't want to be leaving things too late either. I know, not me personally, but I know of people who in the first lockdown, they didn't message their clients once and they just waited for the lockdown to be over. Well, why the fuck does your client now think, how do they think that you care about their goals if you've not messaged them once during lockdown? Because you obviously fucking don't care. You obviously don't care, or else you'd at least put something in there rather than just being like, oh yeah, we'll put our sessions till what? Rather than saying we'll wait until we're allowed back in the gym. Well, they've still got goals to hit. So why aren't you helping them understand or helping educate them? And this is where on the gym floor, I don't think I really realized until I made the switch to online training, online coaching, that I often found with one-to-one personal training, I didn't really have that much idea of what was going on with my clients' lives. I didn't really know how stressed they were. They'd come in, I'd do the metrics. The metrics at fucking different times of the day, by the way. So yes, they've eaten, yes, they've drank. Of course, the weight's going to be higher and shit like that. But when you're coming in for a session, yeah, how's your week been? Yeah, I'm feeling pretty stressed. Oh, nice one. We'll tell you what, we'll just have a great session today, and we'll get you on the slam balls to release some stress. Fuck off. What's that all about? We need to make it tailored. We need to have a much better approach. And I don't think that, I am going to say a lot of trainers, I don't think a lot of trainers have that understanding. They just want to come in, they want to make some money, and they think that personal training is going to be, I'm proper ranting here, mate. But they think it's going to be you're going to make loads of money on the side. And it's not like that. You need to fucking work your ass off. Even if you are good looking model lad or whatever with 6-pack shredded abs and stuff. I know plenty of people who, they've gone to that person, they've stuck with them for a month, and then they've been like, oh yeah, shit. And then they've come to me. And then they've stuck with me for a year.
Yeah.
I feel like I've probably gone off topic there. But
No, I like it. I love a good rant. So just like there's a couple of things I want to unpack about that sort of like mini rant. Like with the people that sort of ditch their clients during lockdown.
yeah,
And I agree with you. I think for the most part it shows a lack of care. It shows a lack of attention to their clients. How much do you feel it was that though, and how much do you feel there's some people that generally cared about their clients but didn't have the education, the confidence, or the experience to know what to do when the gym's shut? But the whole practice is based off having a chest press and a leg curl, and now they don't know how to support somebody with their goals, especially in the UK where you were locked indoors as well, so you couldn't even get steps. Like, how much do you think that may have played a part in some of those coaches not supporting the clients?
Yeah, fair. I do think potentially a fair bit may have played a part, but then that's on us. Like that's on us. It's on you, not you personally.
Yeah.
It's on you to go and educate yourself so that you can educate your clients, because that's not their fault. If they're still paying for a service, then maybe you then have that conversation about scaling back your pay and stuff like that, but still offering a service. If you're using things like True Coach and fucking My PT Hub and Trainerize and stuff like that, but then you still can't educate and support your clients, what's the problem here? What's going on? Because if they're happy to pay £220 for 2 sessions a week, I don't know, but then surely they're going to pay a lot less for your education and support over that time period. Like, so I'm going to be honest. When lockdown first hit us, it was like, shit, what do I do? Right, I have to go online. There was no ifs or buts. There was no drop my clients. There was, I need to go online and support them that way. And I didn't know how to go online. Didn't have a fucking clue, mate. Didn't know what I was doing. But I was still using True Coach at the time, but I knew I need to get them online and I need to have regular contact with them. So I really lowballed the offer. So anyone who's listening to this, yeah, it's definitely not this price anymore. But I was charging them like £60 a month. It's not that anymore.
I mean, baked beans on toast for 6 months for you, then, wasn't it?
Honestly, mate. So that's when I spoke to Adam and stuff. But I wasn't making enough money to pay the bills. Like, and that was the realness to it. Like, I didn't have enough money by charging that much to support my family and pay for the house that we were in. So we struggled a little bit over the first sort of 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Then the prices bumped up. Everyone who was on 60 got put to 120. Anyone who new came in was 150. I've put my prices up since then. And yeah, but I had to do that, mate. I had to give that support even to my clients, because I was charging way more for in-person training. But at the same time, I was like, well, how can I offer a great service for these, for my clients at a lower rate, but it's still really valuable? So then I was doing videos, I was doing seminars, I was doing webinars. You know, I was trying to give them all this stuff, and I was seeing other people who were like, yeah, no, I haven't spoken to him. It's fucking July. Like, what do you mean you haven't spoken to him? Everything is shut in April. What have you been doing? What have they been doing?
Yeah.
And that was my real gripe, because, and it sounds really cringy, but I get pissed off because I care, and it annoys me that other people don't care. And it's really frustrating that we do have a big chunk of people in this industry that just want it for the money and don't give a fuck. And it's like, how can I stop this person canceling? How can I do this? Well, if you learn to be a better trainer, then they're probably going to stay with you a little bit longer, because they understand that you understand. If you don't understand, they're not going to give a fuck. What is it? What's the phrase? They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's like one of the things that I did very, very early on, and especially in my early years at UP, when there was some incredible brains and minds in that gym, and some monsters in terms of physiques. Is that I came in and went, okay, I'm not going to be the biggest dude in this gym, but I'm going to eventually be the smartest. And I went and studied. I had my head down in the book. I never had my head out of it. And my aim was not to be the smartest guy in the gym now. I'm not learning for tomorrow. It's an investment into me in 3, 4, 5 years. And in turn, I did a bit all right. I ran education. I came out here. I ran education for Asian, and it's worked out quite well. But I don't understand the mindset of people who come into an industry like this, which I think is one of the hardest jobs in the world. Now, I don't know finance, accountancy, law. They're brutal. I'm not saying any of these jobs are any less hard. But you have to be an amazing jack of all trades. You have to know enough about psychology, and you have to be a good communicator. You're almost, in a way, a good performer to be able to, put up a show on for your clients. No nutrition, no training, no all these aspects. And I don't understand it when people don't take their education seriously in an industry like this, where we have the biggest impact on the obesity crisis, more so than doctors, where people see them when they need to, rather than we see people probably more than some people see their own families, and certainly on the one-to-one basis. And I remember at times where I'd be running education at places, and the conversation was, no, can you make that simpler? Can you dumb this down? And I don't get me wrong, there are people that need to be able to speak in human, not in like anatomy textbook. But I pride myself on being pretty good at breaking down complicated issues really, really simply. I can make my clients understand about basic biomechanics and anatomy. So the point is, like, my concern here is like, no, this is the prerequisite knowledge that you need to be able to give the service your client is paying for. If you don't know, I'm not saying you need to know fascial slings, but if you don't know a rough origin and search for a muscle, how the fuck are you going to know how to train it? If you don't understand, I'm not saying you need to know every biomechanical pathway, but if you don't know the basics of what the purpose of proteins, carbs, and fat is, how are you going to write a diet? If you've never dieted before, how can you have empathy? If you've never got a client result, how can you end up having a good communication skills and understand the psychology of dieting? You can't.
Yeah.
It's not physically possible.
Yeah, I think, obviously we're talking lockdown and stuff like that. I think a lot of it was because they didn't then because they didn't originally educate themselves, and because they didn't apply themselves when the lockdown happened. Like, suddenly you're not in a gym, you don't have barbells, then you've got all these people who wank over barbells, and it's like, oh, powerlifting's the greatest thing ever. Now they don't have a fucking clue what to do, so they're leg pressing the sofa at home.
Yeah, I remember that. And I found, like, that's the thing about people getting so locked into one way of training. They only know GBC. They only know bodybuilding or powerlifting, as you say. And, like, the biggest reason, I think, why people who love training stopped training during lockdown was because them doing the same sort of workout with water bottles on the sofa and doing 3 million reps, trying to get the same feeling that you would on a chest press with those items, it wasn't the same. So, like, stop trying to make it the same.
Yeah.
What could you do that is an optimal way of doing that? Could you work on, like, I know, like Luke Lehman, that you'll see a mentor of both me and you, did a lot of gymnastic work. You could do that with just body weight. Can you improve your aerobic base? Sure as hell can. Can you improve your mobility? Sure as hell can. Now, those things might not directly be getting me stronger, but rather than trying to do a really, really poor, boring attempt at a top set of dumbbell chest press, how about we find out all those weaknesses, all those strength leaks we've had for the last 5 years that we haven't sorted out because we just want to lift the 40-kilo dumbbells because it's fun. Let's sort that out now, so when we go back to the gym, we can just put 45s up. And the people that knew that and knew how to, like, go, let's not even try and make this bodybuilding. Let's try and do something different with our training that fits with the circumstances that we can't control that we're now in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think over the last year, I think I have found it's almost been like a thank you sort of thing, but like, I think I have found that, there are a lot more good trainers than there probably are bad ones, which was such a relief, when you're seeing. Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Well, so the gym I used to work in, like someone would come in, that they've paid $1.5 grand or however much it is for qualification and stuff like that for level 3, and they're coming up to me and they're like, "So how do you use the lat pull down? You're the fucking trainer, and you've got a session in 1 hour. Like, what?" Fuck, I can't remember where I was going with that. I can't remember where I started with the initial bit. I'm just ranting all the time.
No, I'm going to join you on this one, and I see this often with even. I think that's more of a problem with even slightly better trainers. Like if you don't know what the lat pulling is, you might be a complete beginner. You might because we all know how fucking sham the personal trainer qualifications are, and that's a rant for another podcast. But I think a little bit of knowledge is more dangerous than a lot or none at all.
Yeah.
And I find this with trainers where maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot here, make people hate me a lot. But if you're a trainer that sole purpose of a training session in the gym is to burn calories, you are potentially doing your clients more harm than good. And it's not because burning calories in a session is bad, but it often leads to fucking burpees in a giant set. I've worked in a gym before. I won't say how recently, where I'd see deadlifts into burpees, into prowler, into lat pull down, A1 to A4.
Oh,
and like your biceps are trash go into deadlifts. It's high impact, and this is someone who's morbidly obese, and you're gassed. You can imagine by set 3 what those deadlifts look like. And the aim was burn calories. And I'm all for keeping somebody moving if they can't generate intensity. I get the argument. If you can't generate intensity on during a lift, then you keep them moving. But there's better ways of doing it. If you want to do the giant set, chest press, lat pull down, leg curl, leg press. Same job, more effective, more tension, far safer.
Yeah, and I've remembered where I was. Like, there are a lot of good trainers. There are a lot. Like, I'm making it sound like there isn't. There is some really, really fucking good ones.
More than ever before.
Yeah, and I've learned that over the last year. Like, to name a few yourself, Shane Seary, Ali Fraser, and I work with Ali. Nick, Luke, the people that Nick teaches, we met on the Fitness Rebels mentorship, and you're getting this information off some of the best in the industry who have all this experience. And, I still do shout from the rooftop about Nick's mentorship, but when there's not enough people actually going onto that, you're like, guys, come on. Like, he should be charging a lot more than what he's charging. He's giving you this wealth of knowledge. And I know all these people. Why are you not all lining up to go on this course? Or are you just happy that you're still getting paid?
Yeah, I think the fitness industry now is. What's one thing I really love about this industry is how accessible this is. Now, obviously, this isn't a straight swap. You can't go on a course to necessarily learn to become a better footballer. Maybe you can. But imagine if your goal was to work in football, in Premiership football in some way, shape or form. Want to learn about managing or coaching, whatever else, and learning how to do this kind of thing. How hard would it be to go and meet Alex Ferguson? How hard would it be to go and meet Lionel Messi? There'll be a number of security. It just couldn't be done. But I love this about playing rugby as well. Rugby players are often quite accessible, unless you want to meet Johnny Wilkinson. But in the fitness industry, if you want to get chatting to Luke Lehman, it ain't hard. If you want to go and pick Nick's brains, it ain't hard. And if you want to learn from them, invest in them.
Yeah.
And you will not regret it. And I love the fact that I have a network where there are a lot of people that are at the top of this industry that I would call friends. Luke and Nick being one of them. I've got a number of great calls with John Shallow, who's a fucking diamond of a dude. And that's how accessible the industry is. And now there's more. When I first joined UP, the only way to learn how to be a really good trainer was probably just doing a Poliquin course or becoming an ultimate performance trainer. And now there's so many out there that there's so many routes to get where you need to be that there becomes less excuses because there's so many more educated, and this is a positive and a negative. There's so many more great trainers offering great education courses out there. It's been a while since I've seen a bad education product.
Yeah.
Michael Goulden, great. Luke Lehman, great. Nick Daniels' course, great. What the Muscle Mentors offer, really, really good. Or there's loads of coaches that I would say that are good enough if you want to invest in them as coaches. And I'd like to think, me being in that respect, I know you are as well, that you've had clients that may at some point become personal trainers, or personal trainers get coaching with you. I've got a couple of them. And like, it's easier than ever, which means there's less excuses for not doing it than ever before.
Absolutely. I personally think that when you're on the gym floor, you can almost create that excuse that you're too busy. I know I did. I wish I'd have taken things more seriously. Not that I didn't take them serious. I wish I'd have taken more serious when I was personal training on the gym floor, because there's a lot of stuff that I'd almost like to do a little bit more of now. Like I love one-to-one personal training, but it's just not efficient from a time perspective for me at the moment. Not saying it won't be in the future, but right now it's only online. And I wish I'd applied myself and done these courses and stuff beforehand. At Pure, they used to have some business mentors there. This is you're not showing the video, so it's fine.
I might put it on YouTube just for that.
Right. All right. So, and I didn't really find that much benefit from them. Then I started working with Adam, found a lot more benefit with that. But what they used to say was, work on your business, not just in your business. And to me, that doesn't make sense, no matter how many times you repeat it. And then the managers start repeating it and stuff like that. And it's like, that's just not something that works for me. Yet you're telling the coach that if they can't break it down into 5 different things to help 5 different clients, and why do you keep repeating the same thing that's not going in for some people? But, you're just saying that over and over again, but then you're not helping them apply it. I just wish that I'd have gone to someone else like Nick, like Luke earlier on, and just sat down and just started learning a lot more, because I'd have been able to help more people and I'd have been able to help them better.
Yeah. I think that goes into what we were talking about before about, trainers going into not speaking in human. And this is the education equivalent of it, right? We all know an Instagram account where a trainer posts something where it looks like you can tell they've just read it in a book 10 seconds ago and they've regurgitated it. There was a trainer, I'm not going to name his name because he is much better now. He is really, really good. But I will say he's up your half of the country. That his post every day used to be, to improve inversion and dorsiflexion of the ankle, then do these banded dislocation distraction. And that was a quote post. And I'm just like, who are you marketing to? Because even the trainers don't care that much, and we've all seen those things. And it's the same thing with the business mentors that you were talking about. It's like, do you really understand the craft to say working on your business or in your business when you're dealing with someone who has just started out personal training and their goal should be work with everybody, work in your business as much as humanly possible, to the point where that's not bad advice for you right now. But it wasn't good advice for you back at the start of Pure.
Yeah. It just didn't make sense to me. It's not a phrase that connects even now to me. Like, we're saying it applies now, absolutely. But even now, I don't know. I think my brain's just wired different sometimes, because there's some things that people are like, yeah, I totally get that. I mean, I'm just like, nah, it's not. It's still not going in. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because I just need to think of things a little bit differently. But that's the same way that we, again, as I said, that we need to speak to our client. Like, you see like videos on Instagram of sort of someone, they've posted the client on the story, and it's like, form was a new PB, new 1 rep max PB. Form needs tweaking, but still a PB. And it's like, well, fucking tweak it then. Or like, that's another one that was like, I always say, push the button with your bum when you're doing a hinge. Okay, what do you say when they don't get that? What's the next cue? What's the next phrase that you use? Because if you always say it and they don't understand it, what do you use next? If that's all you've got, you need to start working, you need to start reading, you need to start learning, because that is just not enough. And that's where, you start setting your standards. And once you work with a coach, great. But once you work with another coach, you start to understand how good or how bad that coach previous was.
Yeah. I think when the cue thing is so important. And I've seen this both ways, where a trainer will be paralyzed not knowing what to cue. And then the other end of the spectrum, you get a client that they learn the cues, and it's like, so chest up, shoulders back, protect your armpits, break the bar, elbows to the back of the room, head check down, press into the floor, thrust your hips forward. I'm like, what? Like
all of them.
Where do I start? And it's like, choose one cue, find out which one works for that client. When that cue works, for the love of God, don't use a different one for the same thing.
Yeah.
But understand 12 of them and work with enough people where you needed to learn 12 of them. So you now know when something doesn't work, where to go to try and do the same thing. What strategy, what drill. And that sort of brings us back to the sort of topic of online versus one-to-one coaching. And this might go into another rant. But what's your thought nowadays on the fact there are many, many, many online trainers wanting the laptop lifestyle? That may not be that they're just doing it for a quick money fix, and they might, often that's the case. They may have learned and done all the studying, but they have never, ever set foot on the gym floor. Because I find that so much more common. And I see comments daily of people asking questions like, I'm just starting out, how do I become an online coach? What's your view on that?
Oh man, you're just trying to get me blacklisted from this industry with all these questions, because I'm just fucking ranting all the time. It is. I hate it. Yeah. I genuinely think that you need that experience on the gym floor working with someone. Like, they're not a pocket pal for you, not a fucking Tamagotchi. You're not just checking to make sure they haven't died. You need to be able to help this person. Like, and if you don't have that experience in person, like, you've trained yourself. Nice one. You haven't trained them. Like, I don't get it. And I do think that the money aspect is quite almost like what's the word? Almost like motivating for that person. Rather than and trying to get as many clients as they can. Like, I'm up to 50 clients. Nice one. Well, how many of them have you helped? Rather than just bringing them into the business. Like, if you can help all of them on a one-to-one level and have that personable aspect, because I'm telling you, mate, like, from working on the gym floor for 6-7 years, like, including the stuff in the hotels, that's what helped me. Everyone's in a rush these days. Why are you in a rush? Like, walking, driving, going to the shops to get the qualifications done. Everyone's in a rush. Why don't we just slow it down? Why don't we just slow everything? Because if you want to get your level 2 done, which is fitness instructing, then you want to get your level 3 done straight after. Nice one. Now you're in a commercial gym. Now you're paying rent. Where are your clients at? You don't know how to train them because you've just written down on some paper and probably copied your mate, because now you don't know how to apply it. I did my level 2 in 2013, did my level 3 in 2015, and I wish I'd have done more in 2017, 2018, 2019. But everyone wants to get everything done so quick now. Even if they're like, and this is the thing as well, you don't need a level 3. You don't even need a level 2 to work as an online trainer. And that, even though the qualifications are shit, and I personally believe that is huge, that you can just decide one day that you're an online trainer. set up a business online and then start bringing money in.
It's the only industry in the world, and again, it's a rant for another day, but it's the only industry in the world where someone who's been in the industry a decade, will compete and lose with Louise Thompson from Made in Chelsea about personal training. And like, not necessarily, I don't know what Louise offers. It could be good. Sorry, Louise, but it's probably not. Although Ryan is a personal trainer, her husband now, I think. So maybe it's better than I think it is. But like, you wouldn't go to someone from The Only Way is Essex for open heart surgery. You go to a doctor because they're qualified. I don't get like, and I don't want to make it that rant, but it's like going into, I think online coaching is a harder skill than one-to-one coaching, because you now need to get someone the same level of training intensity to get the response you want without being there in person to show it. You, at best, if you're lucky, you'll get a video where the feet are cut off and the head's cut off. At best. And most of the time, I find it harder to get exercise videos from clients than I do to get progress pictures. Someone are more happy to send me a picture of them in their underwear than they will send me them doing a split squat. Mm-hmm. So you now have to do it from how they're explaining it in person or over a check-in form, how to get the best out of them. And I think it's a harder skill. And without having years on the gym floor to sort of recognize that and know what it feels like even. I mean, I've seen people I do a bro split. So Mary from Luton is also going to do a bro split. I'm just like, I don't see how that can happen. I don't see how that works.
Yeah. As I keep saying, there are some great personal trainers, and personal training isn't dead. Like, I don't think it is. I think it's still a great industry in itself. But yeah, I don't think enough people understand what they need to do for that particular person, like in a gym, you can get stopped on the stairs and someone can be like, oh, excuse me, I'm working, really interested in personal training. They're just going to grab you because you're a trainer sometimes. Okay, it might be different at like your higher level of gyms, but in a commercial, you can just be stopped on the stairs. Hi, I'm looking for a trainer, or a class. They'll go to you because they like the way you teach. My classes were completely fucking different from the way I taught personal training. So that's one in itself. But, you know, with online, I personally think that someone really has to buy into you properly. You have to show that you know what you're talking about. You're not just teaching a pump class. Like, you really have to show that for some individuals anyway. You know, I know some online trainers who I don't know how they've got clients. That's for another day. Yeah. But, you know, in personal training, you'll get people who just come onto the gym floor and like, oh, hi, you know, I'm interested in personal training. Or they've seen that you're a big guy and they want to get big too. Hey, I'm not the biggest guy, but I can fucking help someone build a lot of muscle. And my results show that. And that's why I post the stuff that I do.
But I think that's even more important though, with the fact that you may, if you worked in a Virgin Active, you may or may not be the biggest trainer there. Your marketing is that you are the best in a small radius. I live in Slough and I go to the gym in Slough. There is 4 personal trainers in this gym. I'm picking the one that I found smiling or is the biggest. Yeah. And whereas now, there is, no matter how big you are, you will never be the biggest guy on Instagram. And you've got to prove something more to be a true online coach. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, I've said this before, you have to have that personal level. You know, if they're wanting video, exercises and stuff like that, like, you need to be giving that information back to them. And, you know, up until very recently, actually, I've had people message me and they've been like, hey, do you do personal training? No, I don't, but I do online coaching, and I've helped a lot of beginners get exactly where they want to be. And the response is usually quite the same. It's like, oh, no, I'm not interested in online. I really want someone to push me in the gym. You know, I really want someone to push me in the gym. And it's like, okay, I can do that online. Like, I can do, but if you don't know how to, I feel like we've had this conversation before. If you don't know how to push yourself, me being there probably isn't going to push you either. Because people, like, when you're doing these reps and it's like, right, 3 sets of 10, 10 to 15, and it's all right, come on, a couple more. And they'll do a couple more. And you see that they've still got more in the tank, and it's like, right, still 3 more. And they're like, oh, but you said 2 more. That is still going to be the attitude whether I'm stood next to you or not. Oh, but you said, do you know what I mean? Like, that's still going to be attitude whether it's in person or whether it's online. And, to an extent, I've actually said to a couple of my clients where they've struggled with form a little bit, but I've been like, what time do you go? And like, this time, like, next time you're in, FaceTime me in the gym. I don't do this very often. FaceTime me, keep your headphones on, put it so I can see it, and I will actually coach you through the set. And people want to be pushed in the gym. That it doesn't come more personal.
Yeah, I agree and I don't with that in terms of the pushing aspect of it. I think I agree in the sense of there's always going to be that, if you've got that mentality to not take ownership in the sense of, but you said 2 more, and they think it's about the number over about the effect. Yeah. If they're going to just put the weight down and rest between reps and not keep tension, that's going to be there regardless. But I'm sure you've been to an in-person seminar back when those things actually existed. And you've gone there and done a workout and you're like, I have never trained that hard in my life. And then you've gone back to your own training and trained a little bit harder, not to the same level of that coach trained you. But let's say if they got you to here, you were here, the next time you go in the gym, you're there. You run it there for a while, get a bit better results. Then you do another seminar or another personal training session if you're a client, and then you get there. And this sort of bracket kind of goes like this. And I think there's an art to it, but I think, as we said, I don't think the one-to-one personal industry is dead. I think there's definitely a time and a place for going in and seeing what you're made of and finding out what you actually need to do to get a result. I think certainly if you're an online coach that hasn't had a good 5-6 years minimum on your floor.
Yeah, I think it's absolute, or big words come in. I think it's absolutely imperative that you see big. That's a power word. That you spend that time on the gym floor, understanding how different people work. Your 7 o'clock's not going to be training the same as your 12 o'clock. Your 12 o'clock's not going to be training the same as your 6 o'clock. And oh God, another rant's incoming. Stop it, Simon. Stop making me do this. But one thing that I was thinking about the other day, and I was actually going to create a post based around this, was, when you've passed your qualifications, stuff like that, if someone's asking you about personal training, it's like, oh, what shall I do? And then that person's probably going to be like, oh, everyone's different. Everyone needs a different program. Okay, I'm not going to make you do this, but like, without using the word goals, tell me why that person needs a different program. Because the only answer you're going to get from that person is, oh, because everyone's got different goals. Is it always that though? Because I know the way you like to program, I know the way that Nick and Luke like to program, I like to program. It's all kind of similar with the structural backloading side of things. But without using the word goals, like, is this person even going to be able to explain to you why someone needs a different program? I just don't think it happens. So I think you need this experience on the gym floor to be able to understand all this stuff, that yes, it's what they want in terms of the goals, but it's all this fucking other stuff as well. Well, yes, this person may want an ass, but they've also got a massive pelvic tilt as well. So how about we start addressing that? How about we start working through the hamstrings and the quads rather than just doing shitloads of hip thrusts?
Yeah.
Because then it's going to start putting the hips in a better position, the glutes in a better position to build more muscle.
I remember vividly when I was working at Virgin Active, I had a guy who was 6'7" can work for me, and he had the world's longest femurs. And for anyone who's watching this who's not a personal trainer, the femur is the big bone in the top of your leg, above the knee, between knee and hip. And he had the world's longest femurs. And that was the time where I thought everyone had to squat, bench, and deadlift to get in shape. Like, you had to, right? That was the rules. I didn't know why, but that is the rules. So I racked my brain for weeks going, why can't he squat? And I eventually found a way like he can squat when he's holding the TRX handles. And then I got him to the point where you can hold, where I could get him in the goblet with a kettlebell slightly further out. And I'm there going, I didn't question it. I didn't know why. And I was like, okay. It took me my years of experience to know the difference in biomechanics and the difference in someone's shape of hip socket. So now if I work online and I see somebody from a picture, I can go, right, I'm assuming that if they want to grow big quads, back squatting probably isn't the thing. Do you have a leg press? Fantastic, let's go. You know, and it doesn't mean they don't squat, but it knows that, like, okay, if I know that if I put them a back squat because he said, I really want to squat, I know it's not going to be quad. So I know how to balance the rest of their program from what I've learned, from what I've seen. And me coming into it on day one and think everyone has to do push, pull, legs. And it's got to be back squat, then front squat, then leg press, then leg extension. It's like 40 sets per workout. Yeah. And the dumb shit that I've definitely done, and that's definitely a conversation another day as well. I don't think it's possible unless you've gone and done that experience in the gym.
Yeah, and do you know what? Like, I was very much under the impression over the first couple of years that you're right, everyone needed squat, bench, and deadlift. So we'd try and cram it into every session. As the years went by, I'd try and build it more around the movement pattern. So is it a squat pattern? Cool. Okay, this person, you're right, maybe hack squat or leg press. But man, I get so many messages when I share the stuff that you don't need to deadlift and you don't need to bench press and you don't need to squat, because it's seen as because it's powerlifting. Like masculine, manly. Oh, you've got to pick things up off the ground. Well, nice one, but does it have to be a straight back? 'Cause I fucking hate deadlifts. Like,
it's the grip one as well. I tell people to put straps on. They're like, what about my grip strength? I'm like, is your forearm stronger than your hamstrings? Because when that happens, then we'll stop using straps. You know, like, what? But you don't know that unless you've been there and done it with yourself and with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got people going to online training well without a single bit of that. I would also argue from and again, mechanics chat is probably a conversation for another one, but I do think it's worth saying that I think that for most people, the flat bench press is a terrible exercise for growing someone's chest.
Right. Just, you said it, I didn't say it, so let all the hate go to you, but I fucking agree.
Like, I did a post a while ago. I might repurpose the post. It was a picture of one of my old mentees, Will, who is the most genetically gifted motherfucker in the world. Like, I have never ever seen somebody with a greater line of pull from his chest, like that you could balance a pint on his rib cage quite easily. And I just did a picture of like the bar touching your chest argument. He could touch the bar on his chest about an inch worth of motion. Whereas I'm in this position. For those of you who can't see this in audio form, I'm shrugged up and my chest is collapsed because I've got long arms and a flat rib cage. So I think for 90% of people, it's terrible. I would take incline Smith machine press with a reverse band, anything with cables, and maybe some dumbbell work over it any day.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to the flat bench, a lot of people are so obsessed with having the bar to have to touch your chest and stuff like this. But if you bring your elbows back, let's see where that range of movement stops, because otherwise you're probably getting pushed into a bit of a passive range. Once again, another topic for another day. But people, the hardcore lifters don't want to hear that. So you just bang your head against a brick wall trying to tell them sometimes, or trying to advise.
Yeah, the easy way, I think, without like to explain your point there, without going into the entirety of different topics, which you do on a future episode, is when you start judging how much a joint should move, or how much output you get from a muscle by how far an external thing from your body moves, when you look at it that way, you realize how silly it is. Your chest is not influenced by a barbell. Your chest is influenced by how far the shoulder moves.
Yeah.
And when you start looking that way, you realize, oh yeah, that is really dumb, isn't it? You know, like, and it depends on a lot of people. But going back to the topic at hand, I think, but that's the lessons you learn from being on the gym floor, right? And we've just said, we've both gone through a phase, squat, bench, dead. Had to be. If we'd have been those guys now, if we'd come out of the industry today and went, we want to be online coaches and live in Thailand, we would still be in this, and we might not have ever got out of it. Because you can go on all the courses you like to learn why, but if you're not coaching people to get frustrated. I had a conversation with Paul from Muscle Mentors, who's a ridiculous mechanics nerd yesterday. He got into the mechanics because he got really frustrated why he couldn't understand why a lateral raise is harder at the top than it is at the bottom. It obviously is, but he couldn't work it out. So he went away and did it. Yeah. If he'd never done that, if he just was giving programs over a laptop on day one, he'd never be the coach he is today.
Yeah. There's so much more to coaching than just your client turning up and then saying, see you next week. Like, there's even so much more to it than just check-ins. Like, there's so much more to it than program, nutrition, and check-ins. And, you know, I think some people want to hear that. Some people don't, because, or not that they don't, but it's, as I mentioned before, like, if you've been to something else and it's not great, like if you're paying £5 a week for an influencer app, and then you're getting check-in feedback, which is a sentence. Like, I've worked with coaches before where their feedback from me for a massive old email that I sent them for my check-in, and they reply back saying, up Cal's 200. Nice one. Yeah. Cool. 3 words. Nice one, mate.
It's a spreadsheet formula, and off it goes. And I think this flows into sort of where I sort of want to take this conversation, but closes off quite nicely. It's like we're talking about communication, psychology, and sales at the start of this call. And online coaching can be quite an isolating experience, right? You're not around people. It can just be you in front of your laptop nearly all day. You're not going out and hanging out. I know you have your wrestling training and you do a lot of things outside of your house, but like, it's quite an isolating experience. And if you don't have a partner and a big friendship group or a hobby, you don't learn how to communicate with people. So that becomes I do this spreadsheet. If they don't drop this, I need to drop 200 calories, drop 200 calories. They haven't learned how to get through to people, how to create buy-in, how to communicate with people. And like how can you, and that's the thing that keeps people clients on, because they feel they get a personal connection through every email you send, through every call, through every Loom video you record. You know, and I think that's, you know, massively important. And where I was going to go bring it on to, we'll go on to client stuff and client advice in a second, but for the coaches watching this who are maybe starting out in the industry and deciding whether they want to go to the one-to-one or online, although I think we've answered it in terms of do your one-to-one for a few years first.
Yeah.
Maybe it's good to sort of, because it'll be a good story about your career and maybe some of mine. Some of the stories where let's burst that bubble a bit, that it's going to be a quick, rich scheme and like that kind of thing. You mentioned at the start of this, living on your friend's sofa for a while. Tell me some of the stories back in the early days, where it's early one-to-one, and you mentioned not being able to pay the bills, and early one-to-one times, online and one-to-one, where this wasn't a glamorous career.
Oh, put me on the spot there, man. You could have let me come to this with the answers. So, yeah, I slept on my mate, who's now one of my managers at Pure. I slept on his floor for 3 months. I think 3 months in Sunderland before we eventually moved to a nice apartment in Gateshead. So that was pretty shit. You know, it wasn't comfy on the floor. You know, the sofa wasn't big enough and stuff like that. So that wasn't a great time. Throughout the first 3 months, 3-4 months of online training, one-to-one in the gym, I couldn't afford anything apart from a £1 egg and cress sandwich from Tesco. Like that was my lunch every day. So I was doing that. I was going and doing outreach for the gym because it paid £8 an hour. A year ago, a year before that, I was on like £6.50 an hour. So I was like unreal. So I was going out handing leaflets in a big fucking giant blow up suit. And
I remember those suits.
yeah, and other days I'd go dressed in a morph suit and stuff like that. And this is like, it was warm. Like, so yeah, that wasn't very nice. So yeah, the sandwiches, so I was doing that, just trying to, because he still wanted to be paid for the bills as well. So I wasn't just standing still and not paying anything. He wanted bill money. So I needed to pay him somehow. Like, and I didn't really have the means to do that. Like I was showing my face, I was teaching all the classes, I was in the gym from like 7 till 7, and still nothing was coming, but I just had to keep doing it. It's kind of like fat loss. You just need to keep doing it. Almost, you need to have that patience. Like it'll come, just fucking keep going. So then we had that. Then so at the beginning of 2016, I actually thought, because I only had like a couple of clients then, and it still wasn't a lot of money. I actually was about 4 days from quitting as a PT. I had an interview for a warehouse back in the Lake District, and I was gonna go and move back there because I just didn't have the money. I couldn't afford anything. So I was about 4 days, and then within them 4 days, 3 people decided to book consults, and those 3 people are probably realistically what's kept me still doing this today. Because I was about to go fucking work in like I think it was Lakeland. I was going to go work in Lakeland's warehouse and do 9.5-hour shifts. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was just it would have been a big jump and a big change. And it was almost like, this isn't working for me. I need to go and do that. And that's why a lot of people don't succeed in personal training, because it is hard. Yeah. It is, and online coaching, it is difficult. Like there's no magic money tree. There's no, like, you're not guaranteed anything unless pretty much like you work at, like, I don't even know what this is like, but like if you work at David Lloyd and they give you clients, but they take some of the money. But it's hard, and you need to power on through. You need to maybe try different avenues and stuff like that. Like I was so against doing like taster sessions and things like that. Then I had to do them, you know. I had to go in. I had to do them, and I had to do a 7 o'clock, and then a 1 o'clock, and then a 5 o'clock. I didn't have the option. I had no money, so it wasn't glamorous. It wasn't nice. It wasn't motivating, especially when other people come in and they're like, "Yeah, I'm on 1,000. I'm on 1,500. Oh, 2 more people have just signed up for a week as well, so that's an extra 500 quid." And I'm like, "I'm on egg and cress sandwiches, mate."
Yeah,
it was hard, but we got past it.
Yeah. I think
this is why I'm here today.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's like most personal trainers, like 2/3 of personal trainers drop off within the first 18 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's and
I could have been in that statistic.
Huh? Yeah.
I could have been in that statistic.
Me too. There were so many times where I considered packing it in. There were so many times why I couldn't afford that next step and truly thought this was it. And I was so passionate about it, and I hated it. You know, I'm not a crier, but there was times I remember when I got my job at UP and I was so driven for it, and it was my break. And I remember trying to afford my the insurance I needed to get, because I need to get my own personal insurance. And I remember my card declined, and I couldn't do it. And I thought, my job, I can't get this job, which was everything to me at the time. It was my break. And I just remember I just broke down. I was like, that's it. I can't do it. If I can't take this opportunity, what am I doing? And thankfully, my girlfriend, now fiance, is paid for that for me, and it's taken us here and out to Hong Kong. And I think when you're looking at, you know, I'm going to flip flop in terms of past, present, future. But in terms of doing some more, I mean, I still train one-to-one clients and like some of the online stuff. Without the decade of experience that I have, I probably wouldn't be able to put out 2-a-day contents that I've been doing recently since I started. And you'd be in the same boat if you don't get on the gym floor, you don't experience it. Going back to our previous conversation, you're going to be there, in that similar boat, waiting for clients to come to you and not knowing how to put up, not knowing what content resonates with people. And like, I remember you talk about David Lloyd, that people give, and they don't give you clients. I remember I had to walk treadmills and chat to people who had the headphones in, just been for a run, and no inch of personal training. I had to annoy them during their favorite song to ask, "Hey, how's your training going? Do you want some help with your running?" I'm not a run coach. Like, I haven't got a fucking clue. And and you took everybody. You took people up. I want to run a marathon. Still not a marathon coach. I took building muscle, dropping body fat, sports performance, and I remember back when I started, to make us meet. So Virgin Active used to pay you 0 to 10 clients used to get £7 per session. 11 to 14 pounds, £11 per session. Then it went 18, and then 24 once you did 25 quid or more per session. And I remember getting up every day. Initially commuting from Womburn, which is just outside Wolverhampton. So it was a 20-minute bus in to Wolverhampton. And then I used to get the half-an-hour train to Birmingham, a 10-minute walk over to the gym. So it wasn't huge, but it's a fair commute. I used to go in and do the 6 o'clock class in the morning. And then I work all day, most of without paying clients, just talking to people, doing a few clients here and there that signed up. And then to make ends meet on the weekends, I used to work as the guys outside in the rain outside nightclubs on Broad Street giving away fake champagne, like cheap Lambrini, to people to try and get them in the door. I used to do that until 3 o'clock on every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night until 3 o'clock in the morning, no matter rain or shine, summer or winter, to make an extra 20 quid. And there were many times I came back from that. I used to get taxis, and I'm not proud of this, but I had to do more runners from taxis than because I'll come back from a drink or two, and my car got declined when I didn't have any money for the taxi. And what do I do? What do you do in that situation? So and this is where it gets a little bit more comical. So I was living in Birmingham at this point, and I was doing the Risa gig and the day at Virgin Active, and on the weekends, to make extra money, I was a butler in the buff. So I had my bow tie, my apron, your thong, basically, is what you're wearing, to make 25 quid an hour for a couple of hours work. And it's good money for the time, but that's what got me through, which is quite degrading. Especially when I had one turn up, and it's me and one other guy. And she goes, "Okay, what do we need to know?" She wasn't there yet. So, okay. So she's going to get into whatever station she was getting into. Is one of you comfortable enough to pick her up? And I was like, yeah, I'll pick her up. And they were like, "Just don't mention her mum." Right. All right. Why? He goes, "Mum passed away last week." Okay. So I'm going in, worrying about what I say, basically in the nude, driving down to this train station in public to get out with an apron and a dicky bow and my arse out, to meet this woman. She big surprise, she's all happy. We get in the car, we're driving back, and she bursts into tears. I'm like, "Is everything all right?" She goes, "Oh, I just got a phone call. My dad's been taken into hospital." Oh. And I'm sitting there. She's like, "Do you want to we can rearrange?" No, I want to enjoy my night. I want to take a mile off it. I've never felt so overdressed in my life. I've never been in a situation where I was more aware that my arse was out, ever. And that is some of the stories that I'm not the only personal trainer to have similar, not that job, other jobs to get to where they are. And and when I took the job at UP, even then, I was on a junior salary and I couldn't afford a London flat. So I used to do a 2.5-hour commute from my parents' house in Womburn every single day, twice a day, there and back, 2.5 hours each one, 6 days a week. And I eventually found a flat where I paid a sneaky Colombian cash in hand to live in a illegally subletted council flat.
The thing to do for money, right?
Yeah, and not even much, just enough to keep me doing the job I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking of this right now, huh?
It's how much we wanted it, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you're a person thinking this right now, understand that unless you've got a trust fund, then this is probably going to be your reality for 3 years minimum. There's more resource out there, but I find the business mentor thing. I have one. Obviously, we both have the same one, but in a way, I find it really backward because I think Adam's worth the price I paid for him, but it's a very weird thing that you're teaching. You're going to people who have no idea how to make money and telling them you've got to pay 4 or 5 grand upfront often to learn how to make money. And I think it's like, well, a lot of times it's like, well, if I had that, I wouldn't be necessarily needing it. And and obviously that's not true, and that you could use learning how to scale it. But obviously there's some business mentors out there that prey off that. I'm not mentioning any names, but it's I think it's 100, and I'm sure you agree. Every moment you thought about quitting, every time, every degrading job, every egg and cress sandwich, now is worth it.
Yeah. It's not often I look back, to be fair. That's a story I haven't really told, to be fair. So it's pretty good to look back and, I'm not quite at the heights where I want to be, but I'm in a decent place. So I'm very thankful for every person that's, oh God, this is my Oscar speech.
Yeah, I know.
I'm very thankful for everyone who obviously helped me along the way and wanted me to help them. And for every person that's, I've helped hit the goals, and each client I'm currently helping hit the goals, because this is why I'm here. This is why I'm passionate, because I care just as much as that person about their goals. If they miss a session, we're not going to be quite as close. So how can we get closer? So let's work together on that rather than me just shout at you.
Yeah. And for my Oscar speech, I would like to thank Brett's parents. No, but and I don't want to too much joke about something that's very, very honest and heartfelt. And I do think that's people have invested their time, effort, their health, and a lot of honesty in things that are, as you said before earlier, about not running away from you, running to you. And these people are showing people have emotional connection to food. People have difficulties with this. People have social issues that affect the way they act and the way people eat because they're hungry, they're angry, they're lonely, they're tired. These are very personal things that people tend to share with people in our jobs. And I think we have a responsibility to and going, and this ties this all in quite nicely. The way is that we have a responsibility to make sure that we are educated enough, qualified enough, experienced enough to give those people a return on that level of trust, putting aside money, the level of trust that they are putting into us. So do you use that as a nice tie onto the coaches aspect here and our rants about coaching aspects? When it comes to the clientele, and obviously you've worked at the moment with a lot of guys that looking to build muscle, and a lot of young guys, and obviously they're people that are, and I know that's not all you work with, but that's just a lot of people that have come into you recently, and they're kind of people that are maybe slightly more beginner, intermediate to advanced trainees. Like when I say beginner, intermediate, but the intermediates of beginners. They've been in the gym a little while. They know what they're doing. They just want to know how to do it properly. Do you think there is a different market for people who may be listening to this as maybe looking at, should I go for one-to-one coaching or should I go for online coaching? Do you think the target market is different? Do you think there are people that are better suited for one or the other?
Depends, doesn't it? Oh God, I hate that. I hate it. I hate saying it depends.
As long as why it depends, then I don't mind it.
I guess so. If you're, I spoke about energy earlier on. If your energy is really, really high and you don't think that the certain level of contact that you'd get from an online coach would be enough, then potentially in person maybe for you, if you're just like an absolute wildfire of energy, this ball of energy, then potentially, you know, one-to-one might be great for you. If you feel a little bit more reserved, online coaching would probably be pretty good because you don't need to talk to as many people. You can just put your headphones in and just zone out. I don't think that it has to be one or the other for a certain person. You know, I've got people who love to talk online. Sometimes I think they do wish I was there in person. It's not the case, unfortunately. I can only be in one place at once. But yeah, I think, I don't know, like I deal with a lot of sort of 20 to 30, 35-year-old guys who want to get leaner, pack on muscle. And those guys just want most of them want to get shit done. I'm very much the same. Like, you know, I've got an online coach. I just want to get in, get shit done. I don't want to be there for an hour. I don't want to be in the gym for an hour. Like, whereas that's the standard of what gym sessions is, isn't it? Or like personal training. I always used to say, you know, with my PT, we might be done in 45 minutes. You know, but you're paying for, when it came to paying, like you're paying for the service. You're not just paying for an hour of my time. Because if we finish 45 minutes, I'm wasting 15 minutes of your time at the end because I'm just going to put you on the air bike until you're sweaty. Nah, yeah. So yeah, it depends. I don't think there's a massive either way.
Yeah, I think this sort of goes back into our last thing, but this goes back to sort of the client experience thing. That I think I say, like, putting a finisher. I'm not against the term finisher, but like putting a finisher for the sake of like doing some metc on the end to kill the last 10 minutes because our session is shorter. Like, or feeling that you shouldn't use the first 5 to 10 minutes of a one-to-one session going through your data and your metrics and your tracking and your nutrition plan because you're paying for an hour of the gym floor. It's like you're paying for the result, and I will dedicate the result. And I do this in one-to-one now. It's like I will give you whatever I feel is going to be the closest thing to getting you the result you're looking for in a one-to-one session. So if you've come in and you haven't filled in your progress tracker and I've reminded you time and time again, if it's going to take an hour for me to get what's your body weight on Monday? What was your body weight on Tuesday? I will do that because that's going to be the thing that gets you closer to the result rather than that extra set of split squats. Yeah. And I think when it comes to, you know, understanding clients, and this is where it goes back into our last conversation. I used to know people put in prowler at the end of a session, and I've done it because of the experience, because a client wants to feel like they've done something, they've enjoyed themselves or something. The two arguments I'd make here is how many of your clients have gone, oh man, can we just skip these bicep curls because I really want to do the air bike? No client ever.
Yeah.
Can I just do burpees because I really don't want to do chest press? No client ever. I think we have this warped image of what clients actually enjoy as personal trainers. And I think trainers could do better of getting attuned to that in terms of what they actually like, what they actually enjoy, and actually listen to the client and gear that sort of process to them rather than just giving what they call an experience. My second argument is if you can't give that same level of effort and intensity and experience on a body weight squat, that you need a prowler to do it, I would argue you probably need to spend more time on the gym floor.
Yeah. Or understanding how to cue that person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But going back into the clients online versus one-to-one sort of conversation. Like I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think beginners have gotten great results online. I think the better people make their online product these days, you know, I know a lot of mine, I'm sure yours as well, a lot of my components about education and content and Q&As and webinars, as well as the check-ins, as well as everything else that you offer, that it is more inclusive for beginners than ever before. I do sometimes get on calls with people where I look at it and go, do at least a couple of sessions of one-to-one and then come back. Because I do sometimes think that you got people that, not to be condescending, would struggle to sit on the toilet without hurting themselves. And I've now got a similar plan and hope that they don't hurt themselves on their own.
Yeah.
And assume they're going to get whatever out of it. I do think one-to-one online is for the driven and maybe know at least a little bit of their way around the gym. If you're looking to get the best of it. It doesn't mean you can't get results as a beginner, but I think having your expectations as a complete beginner, knowing that this may not be the 6-week result you see on Instagram if you've never ever, if you don't know what a leg press is.
Yeah.
I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. I think, yeah, you need, like a few of my guys have been beginners, and I've introduced them to the gym in the online aspect. And we're just starting to understand. We're a couple of weeks deep now, a month so deep, and we're sending videos across, which is fantastic. I can sort of gauge whereabouts they are. I can gauge if they can push a little bit more. I can gauge which exercises are benefiting them, which aren't. But yeah, I think the fact that you're absolutely right with online training, that person has to be motivated. It's, we're going full circle here. We aren't your babysitters.
Yeah, exactly. I think that sort of it ties this off nicely. So I do this a little bit differently to what other coaches do, because I want to end on something a little bit more fun than just who are you, where do we find you. So we're going to do this question now. I'm going to finish with a couple of quick fires. So if people like a little bit about who you are, they think you've got cool tats, they love that fucking awesome wrestling belt behind you, where can they find you and learn a little bit more about what you
do? Usually in my house.
Just knock on the door.
If we're talking, just knock on the door.
Want to give your address out? Because I'm sure people happily come and knock on your doors in the north.
Let's not do that. Yeah, I'm in Washington. Let's not do that. It's all right around here. The road is not too nice. Find me socials. Well, mainly Instagram at Brett Mac Coaching. That's MACK. I use Facebook, but it's just the same stuff from Instagram. Brett Mccarten Online Coaching. And really, that's it. I only really show my face on Insta, pretty much. I don't work in a gym, but I'm often in Ultraflex in Durham. That's where I train. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
Cool. So, what do you think is the biggest mistake coaches make when trying to get clients in shape?
Fucking hell. When trying to get them in shape. Could have given me ideas before the call, couldn't you?
That wouldn't be as fun though. This is a spontaneous bit at the end.
All right. So, I'm not gonna take ages. What's the thing that people confuse them with? Doing too much.
Doing too much. Okay.
You don't. Yeah, I don't think you need to do absolutely loads.
Okay. Cool.
Minimum effective dose.
Oh, good answer. What is the biggest mistake? I'd say clients, but people that are wanting to get in shape make when trying to get in shape themselves.
Dropping calories too low.
Okay, cool. Good answer. If you could only do one exercise for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Straight bar barbell press. We've spoke about this.
The best one ever.
Probably, I do like an incline dumbbell press.
I don't know. I know we've said we don't need it, but for me, it would still be a deadlift. Maybe it's just because I did deadlifting today. I do still think there's something really manly about picking something heavy up off the floor.
All right, caveman.
What? And I'm adding a couple more of these. So I think it's interesting. What is the best thing you've added to your coaching practice since becoming an online business that's helped the most people, or you like the best?
Oh, fucking hell. Sounds real cringe, but the recipe books from Get Results Training, like I've used other recipe book providers, and it's like, try this avocado and truffle fucking chocolate thing, and it's shit. No one wants to make it. So these recipe books are like 10 recipes. recipes. Yeah, that's how you say it, isn't it? Forgot how to say it. It's like 10 recipes. You get a new one each month, and it's like real life ones. So like I got one today, and it's like katsu curry bao buns, the honey mustard chicken, BLT sandwich, stuff like decent stuff. And it's got the calories, it's got lower calorie alternatives, and it's got veggie alternatives as well. So I like buzz over that, and then I get my clients to do like a cook-off where we'll take out some of the calories and we'll put that in instead, and it just gives them. It's that then starts to introduce them to calorie counting and macros, and they start to understand it a bit more.
That's really interesting. I like that. And last one, just because it's you and I know how into your education role, what are you currently studying, or what's next on your thing that you want to master?
So currently on the mentorship and program design course with Muscle Nerds and Luke Lehman. I think in the future, maybe next year, I'll probably look at Prescript with Jordan Shallows. Obviously, I know you've done that. But yeah, I think last year I did a fair few courses. I think Nick called me out on that as well. He was like, "Bloody hell, how many courses are you doing?" So I'm just trying to settle down and apply what I've learned now, and then we'll probably do more next year.
That's one of the biggest things I've learned in my, because I was like that. I was very much a course hoarder. I used to do many of them at once, and I now go through a process of consolidation after a course to try and go and then like write some programs if I do a program course, or write some meal plans. Yeah. Actually try and apply what I've learned. Like the same way that if I'm learning anatomy, I wouldn't just read a textbook. I'd read a textbook, watch a video, get on the gym floor and play around with stuff. And that's something I've learned massively. I was going to go somewhere else with that, but I cannot remember. But yeah, I think that's really important. Oh yeah, that's it. I ended up doing the course order thing at the start of this year as well, because I remember when I got a promotion at my last employment, and there was a bit of a gap before it all kicked off and all started. It was a little bit quieter than usual. Lockdown was happening here in Hong Kong, so there wasn't as much going on. I thought, oh, okay, I can probably have time to do a little bit more in terms of my education. So I signed up to the Prescript Barbell course. I signed up to Nick's course, and then all of a sudden Luke released the Muscle Nerds nutrition course, and we got a nice little discount, like early bird. I was like, right, I'm getting on the early bird because why not? I've got time, I can do all three of them. And a couple of things happened. First off, I realized that Nick's course and the barbell course started later than I thought they did. So they were like a month later. By that point, the gyms randomly opened about a week before both of them started. And then that promotion kicked into gear. So now I had 40 calls a month, 25 sessions a week, management meetings, education meetings, and then trying to fit this all in. I was like, this is why I stopped doing this.
Yeah.
All right, because I went off on a tangent about me, I'm going to add one more quick fire question. Top pro wrestler ever and top pro wrestler of today.
Oh, ever, Eddie Guerrero. Of today, if we're talking like at the moment, like biggest at the moment, probably Roman. Roman's great, but like I really enjoy like Neville, Pac, whatever you call him, and Kenny Omega.
Roman and Moxley are probably my go-to guys today.
Daniel Bryan.
Oh, this could go off. This is another episode. I can't say my ever.
No,
because it's
yeah.
Well, it was either Chris Benoit or realistically it was Triple H. Triple H is the man that got me into training. I watched the Royal Rumble 2000, Cactus Jack, Street Fight, Triple H, and I went, that's how a man is supposed to look. And that is the moment I wanted to get in shape.
Big dude.
Yeah. On that note, anyway, I'll leave you to the rest of your day, man. Thank you very much. This was great fun. A number of good rants. Good hearing your story about being a personal trainer. And yeah, we just spoke a second ago. Go follow Brett. The content's really good. And I'll definitely speak to you soon. Thank you very much for coming and chatting to me.
Thanks for having me, man.